David Pagnotta, the fourth period, reported yesterday that the Bruins have expressed interest in Calgary Flames defenseman Noah Hanifin. You guys have probably heard that they've had interest in Noah Hanifin since literally before he was drafted. I remember back in the 2015 draft, he was selected, was it fourth or fifth overall?
I think fifth overall by
To the
Carolina.
Hurricanes.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of rumors the Bruins are going to package all their picks and trade up to get him. They really liked him. They ended up doing that. Instead, we know what happened with the 2015 draft. That's a whole nother topic we've covered in depth many times. But the Bruins have expressed interest, according to David Pagnotta of the fourth period, in Noah Hanifin. He currently has 4 years left on his current 6-year, $29.7 million deal. So that comes with a cap hit of $4.95 million. Calgary is also believed to have interest in Bruins forward Andre Kasha, who is in the final year of his contract before he becomes a restricted free agent next season. So you'd probably have a one-for-one Kasha Hanifin. Maybe another piece would have to go to Calgary because Hanifin has so much left on his deal, and Kasha obviously does not. What is your initial reaction to this? Because when we mentioned this before the show, I think we both had different reactions to this. So I'm interested to hear what your take is.
Yeah, well, I think if you're a casual Bruins fan, it checks off all the boxes, right? I mean, BC kid, Norwood, he fits the spot. He's a left shot
He's a
D.
hometown
So,
kid.
I mean, who else do you need, right? That fits everything you need. But I think when you kind of take a step back and maybe look at the player, he's certainly not kind of the top tier franchise defenseman. I think a lot of people envisioned he would be when he was drafted fifth overall. And granted, I mean, he's 23 years old, and it's not like, defensemen are just, hit the ice in the NHL ranks and just mold into, elite defensemen. He still has a lot more to kind of give up at the NHL level. But that being said, I mean, I understand the need for, Bruins fans to look at any viable, left shot D and, target them, because you look at kind of the state of the roster right now with, you're looking at Lozon or Zboril or Vakanainen, slotting into a pretty, valuable role on this team. A guy like Hanifin makes plenty of sense. At least, he's a guy who's been in the league for 5 years. I think he's averaged about 19 minutes of ice time. He would, at the very least, be a guy you could plug in there and probably be a viable defenseman. That being said, I don't know if he's like the exact answer you're looking for the Bruins in terms of one, what you'd have to give up for him, what money you'd commit to him, and what I think the expectations are. Because I think fans maybe look at a guy like Hanifin and think he's the player maybe he was projected to be when he was 18, 19, where he's going to be a, 23 minutes, give you a little bit of offense and a shutdown guy because he's a bigger guy at 6'3". But you kind of look at his numbers and they don't really stand out in terms of maybe what you're looking for. Like, I feel like if you're the Bruins and you're rolling with a guy like Zboril, Vakanainen, or Lozon, and let's say we put them with Brandon Carlo, I don't know what exactly you're looking for there, but as long as they're giving you 18 minutes, 16 to 18 minutes a night, they're steady, they're complementing, they're shutting down scoring chances. That's all I'm kind of looking for there, because they also have McAvoy, they've got Grzelcyk, they've got playmakers on their D-core. I'm not looking for a lot from those guys, but just be steady. And you kind of look at Hanifin's game, and I think for as much as he projects as a bigger defenseman, a guy who's a shutdown option, he really hasn't been that, especially in Calgary. I mean, I think last year he was 159 among 199 defensemen in terms of goals against per 60 minutes. Not great. And again, there's a lot of things that kind of factor into that in terms of, how much ozone time they're getting. But still, you look at maybe a few of these other guys the Bruins are interested in, like Mackenzie Weegar or one of those guys, and you look at their underlying numbers and you see a guy who, with added minutes could really step into a role and excel here. You look at Hanifin and, he's solid in terms of, producing on even strength on offense, but he's not really the difference maker you're probably looking for in terms of a young shutdown option on the blue line. So again, it all kind of depends on what Calgary's looking for. I have to imagine they'd want more than just Kasha for a guy under that team control. But I think for what the Bruins are looking at in terms of, filling in the void left by Krug, are you better served committing to a guy like Hanifin, who is a warm body, a guy who is all right, but I don't know if maybe he's what you're expecting him to be, when you could at least, keep Kasha, who we don't really know what we have in him yet, but he's still a guy who's intriguing. He could very well be a 20-goal scorer this year. and you keep, these younger guys that you need to find out how they develop, like a Vakanainen or Zboril. Like, which path do you take? If we're talking about a guy like Uyghur or something, then you clearly take Uyghur, right? You not going to this year, with a kind of an undetermined part of the roster with your decor. But with Hannafin, I don't know. I don't really buy it in terms of what he brings and what he projects based on what the cost would be and how much more he really helps you in that area.
Yeah, so I don't think Hannafin's as good as people think he is, but I look at the asking price and it being Kasha, and we've both talked at length about how that middle six, they have a lot of viable wingers, and you're going to have guys who are watching the game from the ninth floor who for a lot of other teams would play. And that ends up kind of being a waste, especially if you find people who can fit in. Now, ultimately, I think the favorite to be Krejci's right winger would be a guy like Kasha. But you still also have Studnicka. You have Craig Smith. You have, if you wanted to, you could have a guy like Anders Bjork. You could move Craig Smith to the first line, move Pastrnak down. There's options you have there.
Yeah.
You look at
Nick
that.
Ritchie.
Nick Ritchie. People forget Nick Ritchie too. That's a name we haven't heard in a while. I felt so bad. It was his birthday, and the Bruins post like a birthday post for him, and like all the comments were just like, no. And I'm like, oh my god, it's the dude's birthday.
That's
just
a hit to the morale.
Yeah, like it's his birthday. Guys. Let him enjoy it. Jesus, he didn't choose to be here. But you look at that, and then you look at the defense, and you have your three mainstays in Grzelcyk, Carlo, and McAvoy, and ironically, those are the three you keep in the expansion draft. So that's a pretty easy three to keep. Cassidy really seems to like Lauzon, so I would imagine he'll be in the top four. Who knows about Chara? Who knows about Clifton? But you have a lot of question marks because even Lauzon, who they're high on, you don't know exactly for sure that he's going to be a legitimate, viable top four defenseman, and that there's going to be some inconsistencies along the way. Yeah. Now, if they're comfortable with going the route of let's see, Vakanainen, Zboril, Lauzon, let's see what they can give us, then own that route, own it. But don't be mad if it doesn't work out and you're out in the first or second round again next year. Whereas if you go out and get a guy like Hanifin and trade an asset that you have other ones similar to in Kasha and probably another prospect, I would think. I don't think this is going to be a 1-for-1, as you said.
Yeah.
You're going to that is a stable, sturdy top four on defense. Your bottom two can be Char and Clifton or Lauzon and Clifton or, maybe throw John Moore, Kevin Miller in there.
There's a lot of moving pieces.
There's a lot of moving pieces. Now, the tough thing is this. Who would you choose out of those four defensemen to be the three that you keep for the expansion draft? Now, I don't know. You have to think. Seattle would take Grzelcyk in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Would they take Hanifin? You think about that. Would they really take him? Now, granted, if he goes out next season for the Bruins, let's say the Bruins do pull this trigger, and he gets like 50 points, then you're in a real tough spot. But if he's, every year in the league he's had, I'm just looking at point totals. You have the advanced stats, but I'm just looking at point totals. Between, he's consistently in the 20-point range. Yeah. He's only gone over 30 points once or twice, excuse me. And, the last 2 years were kind of with that crappy Calgary, boring Calgary Flames team. So there's room that there might be something, because you said he's only 23. So there's a total chance that this kid comes in here and, he's home in Boston and he's, we see it all the time with these hometown kids. They come home and,
the reverse Jimmy Hayes.
Reverse Jimmy Hayes. The system works for them. This is a pretty good defensive system. There might be a spot open on the power play. I don't. Has Hanifin been a big power play guy in Calgary?
I think he's seen some time there. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I would imagine he was like a second unit kind of guy. But I don't think it's super dumb. I would be totally okay with them making pulling the trigger on a deal like this.